Welcome back, and up on the list is the next Earl Canard, and it came to my attention that the last time I pronounced the name wrong, and I want to apologize to every French person in the world that got triggered by it. So today we are going to be covering the Dassualt Rafale. In short, the Rafale feels very similar to something like a Mirage 2000. Now there are some distinct differences, but the main strengths still apply. The Dassualt is maneuverable, it's responsive, it accelerates extremely quickly, and of course you have the off-bore MICA with HMD combo that makes it very easy to defend while you are attacking. The acceleration is extremely good, so much so that even on 101% the reflux here will be able to blow its wings off in a straight line. You do want to be careful with overspeeding. It's not too bad. You will start redlining at about 1400 IES, which is okay. It's not super fast, you can push through it, but you know, it just kind of becomes a gambling match because the rifle will blow its wings off at about 1458 IES. So try to keep it below that. I try to have a little bit of leeway, so personally I try to just not go over 1400. If I really need to, I will, but you will be seeing me use the 101% afterburner a hell of a lot. And the next thing you'll see me use a hell of a lot is going to be the terrain. Because you are so maneuverable and because in the short-term engagement you're able to whip around very quickly and just kind of slap your cock on their face, I like to just stay at closer ranges. The MICAs don't have the most amount of range, so it's a good idea to keep the engagement short, and using terrain is absolutely perfect when it comes to that. Now here, we shoot a missile at the guy. We go into the terrain, he uses the terrain as well, and now he starts coming into us. But at this kind of range, the MICA is vastly superior to something like an AIM-120, and we just kind of slam him out of the air. Now here we're trying to multipad, using the terrain, we get set on fire. It takes me a little bit to realize that it's actually my fuel tank. And, you know, when your fuel tank is on fire, you should probably think about dropping it. So we drop it, it flies through our wing, and then we start engaging the Su-27. Now my plane is absolutely hammered, but it doesn't matter because we have a mountain in the way and we have a MICA. So the MICA EM just kind of slams him out of the air, and we manage to get back to base after like limping around for 6 minutes. Then we take off, and that's really the rest of the match. This right here is trademark MICA gameplay. Is it very interesting? No, not really, but it's extremely good at it, as well as just notching and staying defensive. Here I'm trying to keep him on the off-bore, outer circle, we get a lock, very easy for me to turn out. He could have done the same thing, but he gets a little bit too greedy and he gets dicked out of the air. Now, you are familiar with all of this if you're flying a Mirage, however this one has another ace up its sleeve. It's actually pretty damn maneuverable when it comes to high speed engagement. So even though you can fly it like a Mirage, where you kind of just stay low altitude, use the terrain, when you are fast, you are actually still able to notch properly. Now it's of course helped by the fact that you can use the lock circle and keep them on the off-bore, but even if you get caught going like Mach 1.1, Mach 0.15, you're still able to notch properly, and this is something that the Mirage kind of struggles with. It needs to go around Mach to properly dodge missiles when it's a close range engagement. Of course, if you are at medium to high altitude, you're able to just kind of sit around Mach 1.0 and notch that way with a Mirage, but it does make you kind of susceptible, and it just means that this plane can be much more aggressive. You're able to just kind of go in. You don't really have to care about much. Now, I don't think it's as good. Nice lighting, by the way. Holy shit. I don't think it's as good as a lot of the other top tiers when it comes to a very long sustained fight. We still have to test this. Don't pin me down on it. But the sustained capabilities here don't feel too great. However, when it comes to the stall control and stuff, this thing feels incredibly responsive. And I do think that you are going to be able to get a lot of kills with that. Unfortunately, when you are having a little bit of a stall fit, you unfortunately cannot shoot the MICAs off because of course they are thrust vectoring and they will most likely simply spin out. About the rest of the kit, it's pretty good. RWR is very solid. The ESA radar feels pretty good, updates very frequently, but I haven't found that much use of it. Sure, it's very good. Keep in mind, it's a very strong radar, but in RRB with the markers, the TWS isn't as strong because, you know, with the MICAs, you don't really look for the very long range engagements, and often you just kind of use the HMD, and the HMD has no issue locking most of the time. Now you still get the issue sometimes where it locks onto a missile or tries to lock onto nothing, and sometimes you have the lock and your missile simply would not fire. These things still happen, but I have had them happen much less as when I was flying something like the Eurofighter. Now the Eurofighter should beat this thing in a dogfight. Again, we still have to test it. We haven't flown the Rafale that much when it comes to the 1v1 matchups. But I do want to talk about the gun real quick. It feels very hit or miss. The rate of fire is obscene. We have 2500 rounds per minute and you have no tracer. So if you try to get a feel for the lead, you're gonna waste all of your ammo and the damage is extremely hit or miss. You either absolutely implode people out of the air, or you get whatever you are seeing on the screen right now. As well as the incredible servers that we have on patch day, where the entire lobby crashed into the ground in this match right here. We went back to the hangar, and about 20 seconds later we got a pop-up that we had finished the game. I forgot if it was a win or a loss. I definitely won, because we've never lost on this channel. But yeah, that's a bit of an issue. And then the last major issue that I have with this thing is going to be the flare amount. You only have 32 flares. You have a lot of chaff, more than sufficient. But the flares here are a bit of an issue. 32 when you have to deal with R73s, AIM-9Ms, R27 ETs, Magic 2 sometimes, when you do get the occasional mixed match or you have to fight China. And it's not enough. At this kind of BR, this is not enough. But flares, you know, I'd rather have more chaff than flares in the current meta, because most people are running full Fox 3 loadouts. So it's not that much of an issue most of the time, but it's certainly a pretty big handicap. Now let's take a look at some actual full games now, because I've yapped for 6 minutes about the Dassualt Rafale, and you know, at top tier, at the end of the day, it's all kind of the same thing. Now, the nice thing is that the Rafale actually flies pretty differently to the other top tiers, together with something like the Eurofighter, and that's just because they bring more power creep. That's unfortunately just the truth of it. Now here, we go in, we get some kills, and then we simply leave. I thought there was a guy behind the mountain here, and I'm also trying to get rid of the missile that has been shot my way. But then Hazy starts engaging other people around the other mountain, and he has them spotted, he's flying away from them, and a little bit of teamwork goes a long way. And when you have people chasing you, and you know that you have a teammate or perhaps a squad mate around that is able to help you, setting them up is incredibly important to win these kinds of matches. Right here, the Gripen comes around the corner. I'm already kind of pre-notching, but he doesn't have the ability to shoot at me anyway, so he gets sent back to the hangar. We then go for the other guy, we multipad the missile and kind of go off-board here as well. Eurofighter is also dead, he is severed, and now we loop back over to gun down the Gripen. And again, I have no missiles. When I start gunning him, I better hit him, because I don't have that much ammo. You saw the F4F earlier, he just imploded. And here, we try to get the shot, and without the gun sight, I have no idea where this gun goes. Luckily, Hazy is here to slam him out of the air with a MICA, and we go straight into the other match. And these matches, and especially this map, are your bread and butter, where you can kind of just fly around and mountain shark. Now personally, I have Golden Heights banned, and funnily enough, there's a second Golden Heights, just one without air spawns, which means that you are going to get it regardless. At one point I got it 7 times in a row, was absolutely getting sick of it, so you decide to ban it. Guess what? You'll just get it again in another variation. And why we don't have more map bans in the year of 2024, soon to be 2025, I have no clue, but it's really getting on my nerves, because a lot of these maps are just abysmal dog shit. Gripen there going super slow, not sure what he was doing. Second one comes in, we start notching here, don't have the time to actually off-bore him. So I go defensive instead of trying to return fire, because that just means that I die. We merge with him, we go quite a bit slower than him, so we should be able to get the shot. And this is exactly why I carry the Magic 2s. We lead the missile, we shoot it off, and he should be dead. Unfortunately he isn't. Second guy shows up on the far left, we just need to make sure that the Rafale, you know, when you are doing this kind of BVR combat, it's not really its main strength, but with the things that I said earlier, where the acceleration is good, it's able to maneuver at high speed, you are just able to do this kind of thing, but you still have to be careful and really respect the MAR here. You cannot just force yourself into an MRAN slinger, because they will outrange you, and the fact that you have a more maneuverable missile doesn't really mean anything past like 5-ish kilometers, because all of these missiles, once they are up to speed, once they have their heading, they are going to hit you. This is truly all about the close range engagements, and when it comes to long range, the missile just doesn't have the maneuverability anymore, it doesn't have the range, and it doesn't have the speed, and it's much easier to defeat. So you do want to wait for people to kind of come to you, like we do right here. We kind of just hold our ground, we try to hold the east to west line, and just kind of camp the shore and let people come to us. And this is highly effective, because the second they get within range, you can already pre-notch them. They are probably flying straight at you. And if they are actually going like Mach 1.2 and they are in something like an F-16, there's a very big chance that they don't have the ability to turn out in time. Is this the most fun gameplay? Sure, it is not, and this is not my preferred way of playing, and this is why you won't see me do this all too often, but it does work, and it's not bad in the slightest. Because this radar is cracked, the RWR is good, and the MICAs, if they do get in range, will absolutely slap them out of the air. So is this my preferred playstyle? Definitely not, but you know, if you do want to make this work, if you prefer this kind of playstyle, it is viable. Just know your limitations, and don't try to force their kind of play. People are coming in here, I'm just defending my team from the backline. Now the issue with this is that very often you'll find that if you shoot your missiles off from the backline, your team will kill them before you do. However, later into the game, a lot of your teammates will be out of missiles, and if you then drop in, you basically just farm a lot of free kills. Now the J10 there didn't manage to go down, which is a little bit unfortunate, but this is why we carry the Magic 2. We drop directly on top of him, he doesn't get a warning, those things are pretty damn fast, he doesn't flare it, and down he goes. And then we have to engage the chaff here, which will very likely not have much of an answer to our flight performance, but unfortunately for us, he is simply going to run away back to his airfield. And that's it for the interesting footage from that match. Now here we are down a tremendous amount. I believe it's like 6 feet 12 and it's looking extremely bleak. Now 2 of them trade, which is not ideal for us, but I am trying to stay in the terrain and then peek out whenever I feel like there's a good opportunity. Everyone is engaging someone else. Everyone is looking somewhere else, so now I'm able to kind of come up, be the boogeyman, and Freddy Fazbear these guys right out of the lobby. We shoot a few missiles, we get a double kill, we notch his missile, we kind of turn the game into our favor, and now we need to be aware of everything around us, because now we are spotted, and all of China knows we're here. So I do want to make sure that I'm in the multipath just to be safe. RWR going off behind me, another guy in front of us, Typhoon gets slammed down by Hazy. Mirage also shoots someone down, and then the Gripen shows up directly in our face. Now I'm going to be able to multipad this one into the ground, a little bit too close for comfort, so I didn't want to try and notch it. I'd rather just try to run it into the ground, because at that kind of range, even though this plane is very good at last second notching, with that kind of aspect, I am not going to be risking it. He goes into a flat spin, and that is basically the rest of the game. We then 3v1 the last dude and managed to win. Now I've been harping on about the maneuverability, the dogfighting capability, the stall control and all that good stuff. And you might ask, why didn't you put any of that in this video? And I'm gonna show you exactly why right in this clip. So we merge with an F-14, which I'm not entirely sure on why I can see that in the Dassualt Rafale, but you know, it is what it is. Su-27 comes in, so we go into the terrain, and I'm trying to bunch these guys up so I can dogfight them at the same time. Going well so far. Su-27 is going super slow. F-14 turned around and are now basically next to each other, so what do I need to do now is multipad that missile, go underneath him, and then we start pitching up and dogfight them at the same time. F-14 kisses a tree, and as I'm about to dogfight the Su-27, he runs out of fuel in the middle of the fight. He is a little bit of a nothing burger when it comes to the Rafiki's gun, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.